What a pile of absolute garbage. The media, they were working overtime last night, doing their best to polish this turd of an NBA debut. It was bad enough that LeBron James used his power that he should not have to begin with. That's what happens when you have a private pretending to be the NBA commissioner. But it was bad enough that LeBron James used his power to manipulate the draft to get Bronny James to Los Angeles. Now, of course, there wasn't really a lot of manipulation required since the other 29 teams in the NBA weren't really all that interested. It was bad enough that Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick lied to us and expected us to believe that Bronny James earned his spot through hard work. It was bad enough that the Lakers gave a second-round draft pick a multi-million-dollar guaranteed contract when he has proven absolutely nothing. All that was bad enough, but now ESPN has decided to spice up the shit sandwich by telling us that the NBA debut of Bronny James wasn't as bad as it looked. I mean, it's the same lie we have been told by the mainstream media for years about Johnny B. Biden. Don't believe your eyes. Johnny is a machine behind the scenes. He's just afraid of the camera and the spotlight. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Now, I did not watch the full debut of the Immaculate Prince last night. Reason being, didn't take me very long to be unimpressed. I was more interested in how the mainstream media was going to cover the story. Listen to these headlines. See if you notice the difference. Headline at CBS Sports: Bronny James underwhelms in 4-point debut as Lakers lose to the Kings in the California Classic. You know why they call it the California Classic? Because the vast majority of the players competing in that game last night, they're going to be selling classic cars at the used car lot here in about 3 weeks. Now, to their credit, CBS Sports, they gave us an honest headline. But listen to this headline from the worldwide leader in woke. Bronny James has 4 points in Summer League debut. Do you see the difference? God forbid ESPN is honest about the chosen one. God forbid ESPN told their viewers the truth about Bronny James. God forbid the worldwide leader in woke upset their Lord and risen King, Bron. Well, KC, maybe they gave an honest assessment of his performance inside the article. The 2 articles I read from ESPN, they contained nothing but excuses and an abundance of polish on this steaming turd. It was evident that rust played a factor. Bronny James' shot was off because he hasn't played basketball in 3 or 4 months. I'm pretty sure the other players on the court last night, they haven't played in a while either. Now, I would buy that excuse if Bronny James was averaging double-digit points in college. When he was barely playing at USC, the spawn of Bron, he averaged around 20 minutes a game, 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2 assists. Last night, I believe Bronny James started the game, played 21 minutes, scored 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Now, you tell me, does that sound like rust to you, or does it sound like Bronny James averages? ESPN published a lengthy article where they spoke with 3 of their NBA insiders, our experts. Kendra Andrews, never heard of her. Baxter Holmes, never heard of him or her or they. Maybe it's them. I'm sorry, Baxter. I'm not trying to misgender you. I've just never heard of you before, so I figured it was best to include all proper pronouns. And last but not least, Dave McNenaman. Now, at least I've heard of Super Dave before. He's a respected voice in NBA media. Throughout the article, ESPN, they kept trying to highlight Bronny's defense. Ooh, he's a great defender. Ooh, he can turn defense into offense. He didn't turn much defense into offense last night. In 21 minutes, he scored 4 points. This is the same thing JJ Redick kept talking about when trying to convince us that Bronny James earned his spot with the Lakers. I'm amazed at his defense. He's a great point of attack defender. You know what kind of players constantly highlight their defense? The ones who can't score points. Has ESPN watched the modern NBA? Defense, it no longer matters. It's situational. Pacers, they were one of the worst defensive teams in the league last season. Think they ranked 29th out of 30 teams. They were also one of the best offensive teams in the league. And somehow, even though they lacked defense, they managed to overcome it and made the Eastern Conference Finals. Defense no longer matters in the NBA through most of the regular season. Matters in the playoffs, especially in the fourth quarter, but for the vast majority of the season, defense doesn't matter. There are a lot of great defenders in the NBA who struggled to get into the rotation. 2 years ago, Pelicans drafted Dyson Daniels with the number 8 pick in the draft. Why? Well, for starters, he's a great person. He has high character. For some reason, Gail Benson and David Griffin, they've been building a team of Boy Scouts, guys who grew up singing in the church choir, instead of building a team of talented basketball players. But to their credit, though, they seem to be changing directions this offseason. But all kidding aside, Dyson Daniels drafted for his defense. Dyson Daniels is an elite defender. He is significantly better than Bronny James. The Pelicans just traded him to Atlanta. Now, me personally, they could not get rid of Dyson Daniels fast enough. Dyson Daniels couldn't get into the rotation during the playoffs. He played sparingly for the last couple of months of the season. Why? Well, before Bronny James came into the NBA, Dyson Daniels, he was one of the worst offensive players I have ever seen. This kid made Ben Simmons look like Kyrie Irving. The reason they keep highlighting the defense of Bronny James, that's his only positive attribute, at least at this point in his career. And his defense wasn't what I would call elite last night. Midway through the first quarter, Bronny James got crossed over by a dude that's going to be pulling people behind his Schwinn on a peaceful ride through Central Park here in a couple of weeks. If he's lucky, maybe Bob Griner's dream will come true and they will finally let dudes play in the WNBA. In that case, the kid that crossed over Bronny James, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. ESPN asked their NBA insiders to describe Bronny James' Summer League debut in just one word. Now, me personally, I would describe it as uninspiring, or if I wanted to be an asshole, I would describe it as his first NBA failure. Mainly because of the unrealistic expectations that have been placed on Bronny James by the Lakers. Well, KC, how did the Lakers place unrealistic expectations on Bronny James? NBA fans are responsible for that. If Bronny James was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets or even the New York Knicks, if Bronny James was drafted by any of the other 29 teams in the NBA, the expectations would not be the same. But because of the way he was drafted by the Lakers, with Rich Paul threatening to send the kid to basketball Siberia if he was drafted by another team, along with the fact that he's playing on the same team as his legendary father, and he was given a guaranteed contract as a second-round draft pick. That is the reasons the Lakers are responsible for these unrealistic expectations. But two of the NBA insiders at ESPN, they described Bronny James' debut as quiet and uneventful, which is true. That's definitely true. But then they claimed that his quiet and uneventful debut was fine. I don't think it's fine. This is why I keep saying that LeBron James and the Lakers are setting this kid up for failure. The other 9 players on the court last night, they can have an uneventful debut. The Lakers' first-round draft pick from this year, Dalton Connect, or whatever the hell his name is, he didn't have a great game last night. He was a hell of a lot better than Bronny James, scored triple the amount of points, but just like Bronny James, his efficiency was low. But here's the thing. No one cares about Dawson Connect. No one cares about Sam Scrub or Bob Bum. No one cares about Eric the Euro Leaguer who will be playing in France this winter. People only care about Bronny James. And the reason they care about Bronny James, besides the fact that he's LeBron's son, is because of how the Lakers have handled this entire situation. You could not have asked for a worse way to enter the NBA. Forget about the fact that Bronny James isn't ready. Forget about the fact that he is LeBron's son. You give this kid millions of dollars in guaranteed money, then you lie to us by claiming that he earned it. As soon as the Lakers did that, the expectations went from here to here. Look. It wasn't all bad for Bronny James last night. He had a couple of good moments, but he was far from impressive. 0 threes in a league that is heavily reliant on three-point shooting. Shot 0% from the free throw line. Plus minus 15, lowest of the game. Now, in most cases, I don't care about stats. Stats don't tell the full story. And like I said, I didn't watch the entire game, but the parts I watched, Bronny James' stat line, it matched exactly what I saw on the court. I wish Bronny James nothing but the best. I hope he eventually makes an NBA roster, but he's got a long way to go. He ain't close. But let's just be real here. The Lakers don't really give a shit about the development of Bronny James. If he develops into a halfway decent role player, that's a bonus. The only reason the Lakers agreed to donate millions of dollars to Bronny James was to keep his father around for another 2 years. If you remove LeBron James from the equation, Bronny James, he would be back at USC for the fall semester, playing for one of the worst teams in the country and struggling to get on the court. But give me your thoughts on this. Bronny James makes his summer league debut in the NBA, and I thought it was far from impressive. ESPN tries to soften the blow, but there's just no amount of polish that you can put on this turd. Bronny James is not ready for the NBA. Do you think he is good enough for the G League? Will Bronny James eventually improve and become a role player in the NBA? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys later.